A very warm welcome from Super League HQ. Yes, it's been a long time since we all met, at least 24 hours. We had Saturday night Super League, and now we've got the traditional Sunday night Super League. The world is a weird place at the moment. There are lots of things, positive and negative, going on. But here at the Super League, we only want to focus on the positive. So I would like to start with the breaking news that's gone out in the chat and wish the entire family of Northern Burn Supremo, Mr. Edwards, my heartfelt congratulations with the newest addition to the family. It's the perfect start to our humble family show. I am here on the day of my son's 13th birthday with my Levi Roots Caribbean crush. And speaking of Caribbean crushes, joining me in the studio, I have Mr. Steve Wright. How are you, buddy?
Good evening, mate. It's been a strange day all round, but yeah, it's there's no better way to forget what's gone on during the day and finish it off with the beautifulness that is the Super League.
No, absolutely, mate, absolutely, and we were just chatting off there about the pros and cons going on in life at the moment, and needless to say, all things considered, you yourself are in a very good place right now, and it's great to hear if you exclude the football more or less. We won't focus on Bielsa. I will, however, if you do look like you're getting upset at any point tonight, just keep saying the word Kepper at you, because it's fucking hilarious. Absolute content from Chelsea, that. Mate, we are here. We're at game 20, and I think we can officially say, if we're looking for cliches, tonight starts the real business end of things.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, just one quickly one on the Kepa. The Kepa substitution sort of reminded me of Ian Campbell taking Gary Neville off on a 9, and but yeah, I mean, massive congratulations to Audrey for getting that cue. It's I filtered it into graphics as well. I think from watching as long as I have, I've never seen it as long as that. I mean, it's nice for us that win for us was absolutely massive last night to give us that little bit of a cushion. I'm still not. I was talking to Greavesy earlier, still not confident, but looking at anybody down to 13th. I mean, obviously Martin's still not out of it if he went on a real run, but anyone down to 13th. String 2 wins together and it completely changes where it is. I mean, look at Churchtown dropping down to 10th from 6 prior within the space of a couple of game weeks. It's all still to play for, and everybody's more in it coming game 19 down to 13th than any time I've ever seen.
No, absolutely. And I have to say, actually, I'll just do a quick string of hellos. Tato, Scott, Mr. Campbell, Greavesy, Alf, Duggan, evening pal. Ian Edwards is in as well. I said Tato. Anyone else? Rob here, still suffering from last night. Let's have a quick recap. Good evening, everyone in the chat. Let's have a quick recap on what did happen last night. There was a mixed results depending on your outlook. If we focus on the top teams, as you say, Devils got the cue with that unbelievable 90th minute turnaround against Sloths, where Rob had actually joined me on comms, was holding a bottle of champagne, and then Mpenza and Makoku just completely done him over. To which whoever is in charge of the no context account has decided to publicise my best Gary Neville impression, as I couldn't help but laugh, more because I could see Rob on the screen than what was actually happening, and just his reaction. And
your calling of Mpenza and Makuko are very Aguero-esque from Martin Tyler, mate, if I'm honest.
Your side had a big win in terms of over top 6 rivals over Bostock, and pretty much deservedly so. You're on a pretty decent run. I think it's 3 unbeaten at the minute.
Yeah, we had a spell of not winning in 6, and then if you went back a couple of games further than that, we were 1 winning 8. And if that were our bad patch, hopefully we still might be able to pick up slightly enough to try and scrape ourselves in. I mean, as you pointed out, I rewatched everything back again properly this morning as well.
Did he put you down for the 5 minutes so you could watch the Dudley game?
Oh, she did indeed, mate. Yeah, and Well, to be fair, she was watching all in earnest as well, and she was congratulating me. And
I don't think we need the details of how she was.
Oh no, there were still people there in that room. But I always get a good luck message. I've already had it at 9 o'clock on a Thursday and a Sunday, which is quite nice, really. But yeah, I mean, obviously, as you pointed out, as recent record in this save against Bostock's been absolutely terrible. But we're now unbeaten in 3 against them after not picking up a point in 5, so it's massive for us. And I wasn't expecting a win, but we seem to have flits and starts where we do a little bit better at home than away, but we haven't conceded in 2 and we've looked pretty tough to break down, so hopefully we can carry that on.
Definitely. Just a couple of other headlines from last night's action. Aster's complete fall from any sort of glory continued as they lost at home to Dragons. Halls remained unbeaten under their new manager as they got a 1-1 draw at Loco. Fulchester got the massive win over top 6 rivals Ledisford, and despite the loss, Alf maintained his position above the dotted line. And Northern Burn escaped a scare as they went 1-0 down to Gazelles. Mido scoring early before Sigalko and Robin just ran riot in the second half. Duggan just putting in the chat because of course he won't have seen it. His daughter has given birth, so Mr. Edwards is now a granddad. Duggan is the good news that broke 5 minutes before we came live. Let's get straight on with the action then. Ghost games permitting, Sloths versus Dudley will be the last game. There is I don't know why, because normally it's the sort of one we want to save till last, but if it's all right with you, I quite like to start Super League Sunday with that mouth-watering Northern Burn versus Devils game, just to get everyone excited.
Yeah, no, I think that's fine, mate. It's not going to impact a lot of positional changes as big as the game is it? So I get where you're going with that.
Let's have a look then at Devils, who have Montero suspended for this one, but Soroczynski is back. Other than that, it's an unchanged team. Montero suspension sees Ayala come in. Soroczynski back in the team after being suspended. It's pretty much what you'd expect, with the exception of Montero. It's their strongest 11, I would argue. Now that Hodgie's got the cue, do you expect not so much him himself, but do you expect the Devils players to take their foot off the gas a little bit?
No, certainly not. I genuinely think we could be in for a record number of points for a top finish. I like the fact, obviously, with Soroczynski being back, he doesn't really have to have a centre half on the bench, given his options. So he can always bring a DMC on, and Oliveira probably being on bench. But yeah, it's very even between both teams. Obviously, near enough goal. I mean, the one thing that Burn have added over the last couple of weeks, obviously, Sigalko with his poor start didn't score in 4, and he's now motored himself to top at charts. They've scored 3 in the last 2 games, so they started adding a couple more goals to where they're going, and that's going to be a big test of that Devils backline. But it's a very, very strong backline as well, isn't it? So it's one I can't see. It's one of them you can't see Devils losing, even though they've not lost in so many games, but. It's definitely mouth-watering, like you said.
The interesting fact about this fixture, I don't know if you clocked it as you were talking there, but the home side in this iteration has never lost, so that's good news for Northern Burn.
Oh, never noticed that. Never noticed that. So that's.
The worst the home side has done is draw, and that only happened the once. Every other fixture, apart from the first one, has been a home win.
Well, I mean, Hodges breaking records as it is, so what's to say that it won't go that way tonight?
Let's have a look at the Northern Burn team, who are rocked with the suspension of Cannavaro and injury to Georgatos. So that sees a couple of tweaks to their team, but the spine is largely unaffected. Vieira, Keane, Totti, Robin, Sigalko all still in there. Hoffland as well. Toldo in the net. It's as strong as Ian could go when you consider the 2 absentees, but it still looks very strong on paper, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'll be totally honest. I've never really known of Baczynski before Ian brought him in, or never really paid much attention to him. And he's very, very solid. He's good. He's like a Stephen for me, could cover both sides. But I mean, I'm under no illusions that when I beat him a couple of weeks back, a couple of game weeks back, that he had no centre halves really. Obviously, with Lucas Neal and I think Novotny were playing there, and obviously we Cannavaro out again now for him. It's going to be tough, but I mean, yeah, you look going forward, he's getting more out of Gustavo Lopez and Greavesy. I got a bit better out of him than Greavesy did, and he's just gone up another level as he's got a bit older going into Burnside. And yeah, it's massively strong. Obviously, I took Lizarazu from him, and I was going for George House because I didn't actually think he'd let Lizarazu go when we were talking about Guerrero going to Burn, and then he come back off him, which I was never going to turn him down. He just got a bit of a, which I totally get. You get sort of love affairs with players in this game, which I think a lot of people base a transfer business on. I certainly did when I first come into the league, but. Yeah, two massively strong teams going head to head. What better way to start a second game in 24 hours?
I was going to ask if anyone could confirm that the sound is working given Greaves' message, but everyone's already replying to him telling them it is, so it's just him having issues, it would seem. Are you expecting a free all out top of the table banger, or is this more likely a 1-0 win either way?
What I'll do is I'll go into my things for this. I backed 1-1 with Swan, so I will because I think I was quite spot on with a couple of results last night. So, but yeah, I went for a 1-1 in this one.
Okay, you've gone 1-1. Let's kick off the opening game of the night and see if you are correct. Plenty of action in the first sort of 4 or 5 minutes there, without any real goal threat, it would appear. But Devils certainly, I'm seeing Penzer's name and Aymar's name, they look to be getting a bit of early domination, looking for that early goal. We're now 15 minutes in. Still looks mainly Devils, although Burn now starting to play their way back into it a little bit. No early goal as we pass the 20-minute mark. A couple of attempts, though, we're starting to see from both sides. Still, I would argue Devils looking slightly more active, although I'm seeing Sigalko, Lopez and Totti a bit more. And there's Sigalko. I believe that was his 50th goal for Northern Burn. On 35 minutes, and Steve, that takes us to half time. I just want to confirm, was it his 50th for Burn or 50th career goal? 50th goal for Northern Burn. So congratulations to him. Brad Mackay, the infamous Brad Mackay, in charge of this one. Let's have a look at the match stats. Very even, all over the pitch, same amount of attempts, same on target. Devils had a few more corners, same amount of free kicks. Pass completion very similar. Devils winning a few more tackles, but Burn dominant in the air.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of them. I mean, the tackles one. I've thought all season that my tackle 1% has been really, really poor, but it seems to be as the save's gone on a bit more, teams seem to be opening up a bit more, and the tackle 1% has been down pretty much for everybody. I think one of my games at half time, I were like 90%, and then dropped down to about 53 in second half, but. I mean, it's solid from Burn there, isn't it? I mean, obviously, Novotny's not really had much to do, so I don't think you can ever read much into a 6 when they've not had too much to do. But Sigalko's just been what he is on an home save, hasn't he? In this iteration where he hadn't previously, has he? In any others I've watched.
Yeah, Martin's saying the same, that he is an unstoppable goal machine, and he has got the goal that separates the two sides at the moment. The wider scheme of things, if this result stays as it is now, as much as Ian played it down the other night when he was on, do you think a win here closes the gap, I think, to 8 points? Will he be thinking we can still finish top of the league by the end of it?
Does he really want to finish top? I mean, if you look at winners and where they previously come, he won it from second before. A lot of people, right? Ryan's won it from second. I think most of the winners have ended up coming from second. So I think in his head, he'd probably, if I were here now, I wouldn't be thinking I can catch Devils, but I'd be wanting to consolidate second on the basis of history in the league.
No, absolutely. Looking at Devils ratings here, and the issue quite clearly is that the players at the important end of the pitch. I mean, look how little Barry Fergus has been involved. Henry and Amar clearly seeing plenty of the ball, but not doing that much with it. I'm looking at Kuhl and Zowie next, seeing what the output is out wide, where they're normally quite dangerous. It's been okay. It's not been fantastic. Maybe it is now they've got the queue. A few of them have are putting their feet up for the playoffs.
Yeah,
At least for the first game after getting the queue.
I mean, I think Ayala and Nesta are probably a little bit underdone with the sixes. They've both won. Obviously, I mean, Ayala's won 80% of his tackles, but Nesta 60%. I think pass completion has been really good for him. So I think a 6 for both of them. I think they're probably a little bit underdone. Barry's been like the Sigalco midfielders, hasn't he, in this season as well? Assists and his goal tally as well. I know Odgie got rid of him previously at SLF, I think, and obviously he wanted to keep him after coming into the Devils, because obviously everybody's going to speak to him about him, and he's proved right. He's been exceptional this season. When Devils have got a lot more to give in a half of football, as we saw last night, as we saw when they played me when they were 2-0 down, it's still worrying being 1-0 up as an opposing manager when you look they've got a lot more to give.
No, absolutely, mate, absolutely. You have to play to the very final whistle, especially when against Devils. Ian's going as is. Nothing yet through from Hodgie. So I'll just ask to give him every opportunity. Looking at what he has on the bench, would you be making much in the way of changes?
No, certainly not. I don't like Kesman, full stop.
You've said this before.
Yeah, I'll carry on saying it. Yeah, Makoko got a goal last night, but I mean, like I say, with how much AMR, and particularly only haven't had the ball at feet, if they do get a bit of ball at feet, they can always make something happen at any point, can't they?
No, absolutely. Still nothing from Hodgie, so we're going to kick off the second half of this game. And Barry Ferguson, almost straight from kickoff, makes it 1-1. And Amar, another quick fire turnaround by Devils. They make it 2-1 as we approach the hour mark. And now Burn have been knocked sideways. Have they got it in them to get back into this? Devils go looking for a third. There's a shot in fury and another one off the crossbar. 72 minutes now on the clock. We'll slow this one down. Free kick, Aymar to deliver it in. Keane gathers it. Northern Burn keep control of the ball. 15 minutes to go. Can Burn create the chance they need? Well, it's Devils coming forward again. And it's former Devil Novotny who sets Sigalko on his way. Ayala gets in the way, takes the yellow card. Into the final 10 minutes now. Lopez offside. Nestor, Ayala, and now Aymar coming forward. Driven low, well held by Toldo though. Soroczynski getting involved. And a yellow card shown to Vieira. We're into the final 5 minutes before added on time now. Sigalko and Robin playing it between themselves. It's gone out for throw-in. It's going to be 4 minutes added on. Not over yet. Can Burn have that one last big chance? No is the answer. And the game finishes 2-1 to Devils. The first time, as we said in the intro, Steve, an away side has won this match in this iteration of the Super League. And Devils have all but secured first now.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, when you know that Devils side has got so much more to give, and we've seen them being absolutely that dominant in the second half, regardless whether it's Burn or somebody down at bottom end, they're just tough to keep out. I've got to apologise for Ian. I'm a big. Everybody's got their own little quirks on the game. If you mention players, it happens a lot, doesn't it, on comms? Obviously, I talked about Barry Ferguson being the Sigalco midfielder. Yeah. If AMR gets ball at his feet, things can happen. So I have to apologise to him for that, because I know he's quite sceptical with things like that as well. But yeah, I mean, that's a second half performance from Devils that just ramps up the dominance of what they've been all season.
Very, very even, largely, as you look at the stats, and it could really have gone either way, but it's just the imperious form that Devils find themselves in at the minute. Despite defeat, Sigalko picks up another Man of the Match award for his performance overall. And you're looking through it, and they're not really awful ratings. I mean, they're not the highest we've seen from Northern Burn. I'm looking at Robin maybe and thinking he's usually a bit better. I mean, he hasn't had any attempts. He's only completed 9 out of 15 passes. He's usually offering a little bit more, but that Devil's wall, as you've said, that wall of four that they have is very, very tough to break down.
Yeah, and it looks like Vieira struggled with like the step up from Amar and maybe Henry in second half as well, putting a bit more pressure on. You know, he's missed a lot of tackles, which is very un-Vieira like, especially for Byrne. Obviously, I know he were very up and down for Agis, but yeah, it's really unlike him in a Byrne shirt. So if Vieira playing as a sole centre defensive midfielder has a little bit of an off day, gives your AMCs a chance to get at him a little bit, and that's obviously what they've done in second half.
No, absolutely. And Devils for the second time in 24 hours, a quick fire turnaround from being behind to winning a game.
Yeah, I mean, look at Amar there. He hasn't been great in terms of his he's probably just over 50% in his passing completion rate, but he's done what happens when it matters. And Penza, obviously helping himself to an assist, so at least he's still contributing in a way what he has been in this season. But I mean, it's a big step up from a lot of sixes and sevens to half the team being in eights and a step up in sevens as well. So yeah, I think Odge will be delighted with that, and they're just the immovable object. They just keep ploughing on, aren't they?
No, absolutely, mate. Could not agree more. A good way to kick off tonight's action. Let's move on to game 2. And the game engine has decided to give us Hull's Vikings at home to Leddersford. Big game this, as 6th travel to 7th, just a point separating the two sides before kickoff. And the team that Alf has put out sees Mark Kerr come into the 11 for the first time, I think, under his stewardship, in centre midfielders Ambrosini, who had been performing so well. I believe it was Martin who commented last night. He'd been performing really well, getting really good ratings, got moved into centre midfield, and it all just went horribly wrong against Fulchester. So he's gone back into defensive midfield alongside Paredes, Mark Kerr coming in, and Amoroso replacing Nicky Forenko in attacking midfield. Alf has done a very good job since he come in. It has to be said, the only sort of blotches on his copybook have been to Northern Byrne and to Devils, which, let's face it, it's a bit like playing Man City and Liverpool at the minute. You kind of almost expect to go into those games and lose. So really, he needs a bit of credit for getting Leddersford back into the top 6 from where they were, and trying to keep that position there now.
Yeah, I mean, as you were talking about playing Ambrosini in centre midfield last game out, there's very, very little DMCs I like to play in MC. I've said this for a long time. Mm-hmm. Van Bommel's one of them, Vogel's probably one of them, and there's not many of them really that I really like doing it with. I'm also a big fan of, if a player is getting a high rating, I like to keep on a rating. So if they're I never like bring them off at half time if they're on a 6, because I like finish on a decent rating. I think it's a smart move by him, pulling him back to DMC. He has been very, very good since coming back into the team. Dan obviously had his own reasons for not picking him, but he's shown how strong he can be. And I'm sure, I can't remember where he at Hull's previously. And he played very, very well. And yeah, he's picking. Obviously, he's probably a different setup in the background from what Alf was saying about where he, how he picks a formation. But they've got the players to set up like how they set up, and he's doing a very good job with it.
I've got the graphic on screen at the moment for you, Steve, showing how the two sides have performed over the course of the season, and you've been quite vocal about new manager bounce.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the manager's still got to pick the team and put it out there. It wasn't meant disrespectfully, but Hulls have had spikes, like we knew early in the season as well, that Jens has had it in him, and this is going to be an interesting one for that reason. Obviously, it's a little bit less of a new manager bounce now for Alf. Obviously, it's quite a few games in now, and it start plateauing out. But Jens is on crest of a wave of he's relishing it at the minute, and in the fact that he can put himself into top 6 from where he was seemingly after a couple of weeks ago, I think he'll be absolutely rubbing his hands at thought that he's got the newer manager bounce.
Yeah, absolutely. Hull's last time out got the 1-1 draw away at Loco. and this is the team that Jens has gone with. It's just one change with Gerard back from injury, replacing Petit. Everything else remains the same. What have you thought about your on loan striker and his performances at Hull's? 4 goals and 7 starts.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you were. Don't think he was far away from being 1-2 in the games that he played for me. He was just never going to play in front of Luca Toni the way he's been, and especially now that Saviola's coming as well. I mean, he's very good. I really like Viduka. A lot of people don't like him on game. I really like him. I think he scores a lot of goals, and I think if he scored a goal last time out, and he's done really well for us, and now, you know, obviously you're in it for yourself, but it's always nice to see that you've got capable players that once loans finish and a new season may come, you know, that can come in and maybe make a difference because they're going out and still proving it. But I mean, it's been said a lot of times that Jens has got a strong squad. I think he's looking a bit stronger now. I think he's given himself better options at wing back by bringing Didier Gattin from Alf after he took over at Liddesford, and it's there or thereabouts. It's just finding that little bit of something that just make it click a little bit, and it will come with Jens, whether it's this season now or next. But I think I definitely think he's got the players and he's had them long enough to now know who's decent for him and who's not.
And your score prediction for this one then, please, sir?
I went 2-1 Hulls.
2-1 to Hulls. Let's see if you're right. I'll review any of the other predictions as they come through in the chat. Just me and Mr. Duggan commenting on whether you're sticking as volatile to new manager bounce as you were a few weeks ago. We're both suggesting not.
I was quite vocal on it on Twitter, and I do believe new manager bounce works. So
Hulls have got a penalty, and Malewski's missed it. Jens was only saying today how Hulls still never seem to get penalties. They get one tonight, and Malewski misses it completely. On 15 minutes, we're now on 34. Hall's coming forward again. You're seeing Crespo and Viduka, Mark Kerr getting involved. Van Nistelrooy forces a fine save. Martin's predicted 2-2, and Crespo scores on 40 minutes to give Hall's the lead. And there is the half-time whistle from Jerry Conley in front of 15,000 fans on a wet day in Sydney. And at half-time, Hall's deservedly lead 1-0 at the break, but have also missed a penalty. We were discussing new manager bouts. Let's go back through the commentary to see what happened. Crespo had to find a way past Kivu. He went in hard on Crespo, but played the man instead of the ball. The referee pointed to the spot. It looks like it was a dubious decision, which I think if he's gone in hard and took the man and not the ball, I can't really call it dubious, in my opinion. The Liddesford players surrounded the referee. Malewski took the penalty and missed, and it was saved. Why didn't Crespo take Jens? I'm guessing since Jens Anderson was replaced by Mr. Anderson, Mr. Anderson probably hasn't suggested or dictated a penalty taker. And whether Jens did beforehand, I can't remember. The game may just decide that Malewski's the better taker. But back to the stats, Steve, and Hulls are winning, and it looks like they are edging this one.
Yeah, it's stopping so far. I mean, I'm sort of, in terms of Malewski taking penalties, you don't see that often. People talk about Ibrahim Said being one of the better penalty takers on the game. Malewski, for me, is up there with him. He doesn't miss them. I can't remember any time that I've seen him miss them. So I like, apart from thinking I want to get Luca Toni up there with scoring charts, which he scored 2 of this season, which makes his record look a little bit worse than it is. I'm always preferable for letting the game pick penalty takers because it's the other pick. I think for me, on my normal team, it'd be Zanoni. He scores penalties quite regularly. So I was surprised to see Malewski miss. But yeah, it's dominant from Hulls. At home, like you say, with how they've been playing these last 3 games, it's at the present minute as well. Sitting them in top 6, I think it's a no-brainer at the minute where he's going.
So we have a look. You pointed out a guy in the pre-match sort of preview. He is currently on the lowest rating at halftime on a 6. Malewski, despite missing his penalty, one of the highest rated players on 8. Sol Campbell, despite his yellow card, also rating highly. fairly solid ratings though throughout the team, and the only sort of thing I can pick out is despite his goal, Crespo's not really been overly involved. The only thing he's been doing is taking shots, really. But it has to be said, Jens would be quite happy for him to do nothing except score goals.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at his 2 shots, he's had ball at his feet 8 times. He's had a couple of shots and he's got a goal. It seems that they're playing more into Viduka, who seems to be holding it up and playing a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
But they say he's been a big thing. It was a thing for me when I've had him, and it's been different iterations. Crespo, there's no reason why Crespo shouldn't do this sort of thing, but that puts him on 8th at season now, up with Tony. So he's getting there, and he's a player like that shouldn't be coming into their own come season 4, but he's done very well for Jens this season.
A quick look at the Ledesford figures. Mark Kerr hasn't really impressed on his first outing out. Paredes having a very, very good game, a very high pass completion rated. Look at them tackles as well, 10 with 7-1. Ambrosini, I think is being knocked down because of his passing rate, because, well, then again, no, look at his tackling rate. 13 attempted, only 4-1 isn't great for a player who had been performing very well beforehand. Alf's going to have to do one hell of a team talk here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Paredes played very much. Paredes were a Hull's player. Dan brought him in, I think, and he were very, very, very good. And he's been one of the unsung heroes of this Ledesford team on the times when they're doing well, and he's just proving there. And obviously 3 key headers won. But yeah, I mean, I'm surprised he's not getting out of Mark Kerr at this level of a Super League. I'm not surprised at all. I think he is one of the when the Tato Sloth podcast, if it does ever return, Myth or Maestro, is definitely a myth massively, and I'm not surprised to see Alf bringing him off there. Scholl can make a difference. It has made a difference for Alf since he's come in, and yeah, I think he's even at 34, he's still got something in the locker, more than Mark Kerr has. So it's going to be interesting. Second half, they've got a bit more to offer, but I just think Hull's just look a bit too strong at this present minute.
Constantinu has also been a regular on the bench, but with Van Nistelrooy's form, hasn't had any sort of opportunity to impress under the new boss. And just picking up, you said it's a shock to see him miss the penalty, but Toby's had another wonderful season, so perhaps not a surprise to see him saving one.
No, he's superb. I think the one thing you think is when you see players playing regularly for Dan, obviously knowing his in-depth knowledge of the game prior to him leaving the Ledesford job, there's obviously reasons for it. And obviously he came in, he's brought Serini in from me, and Taibbi, he is one of the best keepers on the game from the start. At 34, he's still definitely worthy of a shot, worthy of a place.
Jens, not overly confident, saying that Ledesford will definitely turn this round. We have kicked off the second half. We're approaching 10 minutes into it. Hull's probably just shading it so far as we pass the hour mark, and they go 2 up, and it's Brozet from midfield who scores the second. And it looked like Hull's are marching their way into the top 6 as things stand. Mleski picks up a yellow card there. A couple of attempts from the away side, but failing to score past Costanzo as we move into the final 10 minutes. No need at this time to slow this one down. The result not really in doubt as we hit 89 minutes. Another attempt for Halls. And there it is, 3-0 Viduka's 5th of the season, wrapping it up once and for all. Full-time whistle. Jens firmly on the march.
Yeah, fantastic result for Jens, and completely dominant. Yeah, it puts him in the 6, puts him above Ledesford at this present minute in time, and it's all at play for going into it now for us.
Absolutely, and it just keeps it all very tight for the chasing pack as well. Let's have a look at the victorious home side then. Lilian Tarama is picking up man of the match for his performance. Look at Mleski there as well, with a stunning performance in defensive midfield. Solid ratings all around. I mentioned Agat was the lowest rated at halftime on a 6. He moved up to an 8. The lowest rating of any player was Sol Campbell on a 7, which he had at halftime. And let's face it, Ledesford didn't offer much to really challenge him.
No, definitely not. So I certainly wouldn't read much into that. I know he's only won half his tackles, but he's chipped in with an assist. And yeah, that's to only have one of your players sat there on a 7 and I'm not even reading that. But yeah, that's one of the strongest performances probably Hull side has probably put in. Never mind this season, but in their all since the start of this iteration.
It has to be said, and you've already explained it tonight, but it has to be said, with the exception of the Vieira deal, the Viduka deal got more criticism than most, and Tato's gone straight in calling you a muppet for allowing it to happen.
Yeah, well, I'm sat 5th in table and he's sat in 13th, so it don't really.
How the tide has turned! The amount of people that have been able to say that for you over the last couple of years.
No, but in all seriousness, yeah, what a risk. Jens were looking for a striker. The thing is, people forget he were out on loan for half of last season as well at Bostock, and he wasn't getting a look in. Tony scored 13 in 19 last season, and it is what it is, isn't it? Players out on loan outperform themselves, which Chris Perry did for us, and it is what it is. It is what it is. I'm glad he's doing well for Jens. I like Jens. He's a really good lad, and he deserves to finally start having a bit of form for the hard work that he puts into it.
It just went from bad to worse, really, for Alf's team. You look at the ratings. I mean, you said that Scholl could make a difference. He was awful coming off the bench. Constantinu hardly got a look in either. Hull's were just extremely dominant throughout.
Yeah, even Scholl did a Elmander when he come on for us, which has never been seen again since. Paredes going down shows how much pressure Hull's were putting on, and he started maybe putting a foot wrong here and there. Ambrosini winning 5 out of 16 attempted. It shows when you've got 30 attempted tackles between your two DMCs, and there's only 11 of them won. It's crazy to show they've been run ragged by one AMC as well, which is mad. But you know what? They go back to the drawing board, and then it's up to Al to have a look at it and see where it can go from here. And you might see him change it up a little bit next time.
Alf already suggesting, as it is game 20, this is after tonight's round of fixtures. It's the last time to make reserve swaps during the regular season. Obviously, the 6 that make the playoffs will be able, I can't even talk, to make further alterations for the playoff campaign, but clearly something already on the mind of the Leadersford boss. We don't want Slough Studley. Let's start from the top of the list. And we have Bostock at home to Haggis Hunters. So Bostock currently in 3rd. Pretty comfortable in terms of not dropping out the playoffs at the moment, but a little bit of a gap forming to the top 2. We obviously know that Northern Burn have lost tonight, though. Haggis, on the other hand, currently sitting 8th. They went into this 2 points outside the top 6. We now know that Hulls are a point further up than that. 2 points further up than that. So Haggis now can't be in the top 6 tonight. But they certainly need a result to stay, within a point or 2 of that mark. They had massive injury news during the week of Helguera being out for just over a month. They've called up Takinadi, who goes straight into the 11 as he's rocked with suspensions for key men Walter Samuel and Jens Jeremies. And here is the Haggis 11. Bruno and Saha supporting Smith. As I said, Takinadi joining Mira in defensive midfield, Gary Neville and Stam. And Pleticosa does go in goal, despite, it has to be said, despite my cock-up, Casillas having a solid game against Churchtown, he still ended up being dropped.
I mean, I'm not surprised. I think it's one of Ian's biggest bugbears on it in this save has been keepers. I know Ryan swears by him because he plays well in important matches, but you've got to get into a position to be able to play in important matches, haven't you? I think looking at that, I mean, me and Dimble were talking about Haggis earlier, obviously with them playing last night. They're always a really awkward team to play against, but I'd probably say over the last season or so, it's probably one of the weaker sides that Ian's had to put out due to his suspensions, etc. Takinadi for me is very, very good. I really rate him. I'm surprised he hasn't been in and around it a little bit more than Mira, supporting the DMCs that are normally his starters. I mean, if you look at his stats, are fantastic, aren't they? And I think it is crazy. I mean, it shows that Alf played him quite a lot in the original, the first season coming back. and the fact that he's getting played, he wasn't getting played over players like Foe, etc. At Astor as well. I think it was shrewd by him to bring him in, and only seeing him join the party now, probably a bit low. Obviously, I mean, I hate Patrick Powell. I'm surprised that he's not in there again over Mira with Takanadi, but he's doing. He thinks himself he's not doing well, but he's having spikes and troughs. He just needs to find a bit of consistency, and once to find that bit of consistency, I think they can go on a bit of a run, and they're definitely in with a shout again in top 6.
Well, the last 4 games have been lose, win, and that shows you that consistency. Before that, it was 3 draws in a row. Starting with obviously the 0-0 with you back in December as the fixtures play out. But I think you're right in terms of Takanadi. It's a bit of a surprise that someone of his attributes hasn't had more of a go. I mean, it showed in that first season with Astor that he is capable. I mean, yes, he wasn't picking up assists or anything, but his job is to break things up, and his pass completion was decent. He had a fairly good tackle ratio as well. Be interesting to see if he can sort of revive his career in these last few games of the season for Haggis and maybe push for a playoff place. Let's have a look at Bostock, who themselves tweak it slightly. Welsh dropped to the bench. We've got Lasisi and Sylvester going us back to Decor and Live as a defensive midfield to Zé Roberto and Ortega. If you look at the usual tactic, Cafu normally in there, but Zé Roberto and Ortega pushed a bit further forward. Bostock really going for it against Haggis.
Yeah, I mean, he could have carried on what he was doing. Ortega's played wing back plenty for him. I'm not a massive fan of Zé Roberto playing on the wing. I see him, I don't know if it's just where I've played him, tend to get a lot of 7s from him and not his usual, even assists, etc. But it's very, very strong, and it looks a bit more attacking than they have gone. I know Scott made his transfers. We're trying to be a bit more expansive, try to play a bit more attacking, and obviously playing a formation like this, it certainly will be. And yeah, it's a very, very interesting game. Very, very interesting game. But I mean, obviously, he brought in Elcroft last game. I'm surprised to see Del Piero dropped a little bit, but
I mean, he's still in relatively good form, Del Piero, but his form had dropped from 8s and 9s to 7s. So Robbie Keane gave him the chance to impress this evening.
I mean, California's never going to get dropped, especially now this far into save at all, is he? How good he has been. So, but yeah, he's got, he massively knows what he's doing. He's come off a bench and got an 8, and just maybe Anelka just needed that little bit of a bump to say, hang on a minute, you need to pick your game back up a bit, and you won't be surprised to maybe go see him get a goal.
The away side in this one have only lost on one occasion, and that was in the very first game. So kind of similar to the first game where there is a clear pattern. So Haggis might be, or Ian in particular, might be a bit more confident seeing that. Although Bostock did win the last 2 games being the away side without Haggis even scoring. So very interesting game this for me. Who are you backing in terms of predictions?
I just think if you look at that, and you were talking about Aggis's results and the fact that they've been win-loss, but that 2 defeats in 7 is that, and the fact that Bostock haven't won in 3.
If I was to say to you that Haggis were 2 defeats in 7, would you have even realised that?
Well, obviously, I remember there being a few draws, and I mean, obviously, I'm looking at graphics, so it's probably a bit different talking it to me to somebody else when you're seeing results all the time and inputting them. But they're capable of just pulling a result out massively. Obviously, they give Devils one hell of an hiding early season, and it's just about it clicking, and it's just when it clicks. But I can just see Bostock getting back on horse a little bit here. Obviously, Burner putting more pressure on up top, and they want to keep up there with them. I can see a 2-1 Bostock for me.
Just on the subject of graphics, just another public thank you for taking it on from Duggan when you did. I know you do enjoy doing it as well from our messages throughout the week. And we've also commented on the fact that every now and then I'm just throwing curveballs at you like I have tonight, because we've had all the usual graphics for the last couple of games. I've thrown in the attendance ones and the goals from free kick ones for tonight, but you're quite content with whatever I send over.
Sometimes it's a bit easier doing that from a blank canvas and just typing it all out than messing about with what's already there. So
we've kicked this match off. It was Haggis who had the first attempt of the game. They come forward again. I'm seeing Giggs getting involved, but now Jacques and Zé Roberto for Bostock. We passed the half-hour mark, still 0-0. Bostock certainly ending the half the stronger, it would seem, although a couple of set pieces for Haggis, failing to convert from those. And a half that went by quite quickly has ended with the score at 0-0. It looked like both sides, particularly Haggis, had maybe created a couple more attempts than just the two, but that's the official ruling. Both sides 2 shots on goal, 1 on target. Pass completion rates relatively decent from both sides. Tackles 1, Bostock slightly more effective, equal in the air. So level game, level score, Steve.
Yeah, not much to pick apart at the minute. I mean, I think Ian will be definitely happier. Obviously, missing a couple of his bigger hitters. We're, like I say, nice to hear from Mac last night, where obviously we're talking about the Vieira deal, but he was saying that the Aggies have become a more rounded side for it than making them focused on Vieira. And it's proving right. He seems to be a lot more competitive, a lot more, rather than being up and down in every game as well, which is daft to say without Vieira on your side. But yeah, I mean, obviously Scott will be a little bit disappointed that he got a bit more of a foothold being at home. But second half to come, he can obviously go at it. But yeah, he's got a reasonable base to start from there. Looking at his ratings, but I think he'd probably be a little bit disappointed with Anelka.
He's going as is. Are you surprised to see neither Del Piero or Gonzalez coming on?
Not really. He's obviously gone to play a certain way by moving them up to wings, and like I was saying before, Anelka's a massive goal threat, especially come season 4. And yeah, I'm not surprised at all. Not surprised at all.
Very low contributions from the central sort of team around Mendieta. He's seeing a lot of the ball clearly as the fulcrum to anything they do, but Mira not doing much, Takanadi not doing much, Saha the other side not doing much either, Bruno also doing very little. It looks like they're focusing their attacks on going out wide, and maybe they need to use a plan B going through the middle.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at, obviously the strength of what Ashley Live's been in this save has been phenomenal for Scott these last season and this season so far. And when, with the greatest respect meant, when you've got Bruno and Saha playing there coming against Decor and Live, I think Decor and Live are going to win that battle every day of the week. I don't think they're getting challenged too much. But it is nice to see Basilio getting a run. Actually, he's a big favourite of mine. And but Montevino coming on as well. He's big out at league signing, so trying to change it up and trying to have a go at it. And yeah, for season 4, Lewis R, his ratings are not they haven't developed as good as they can do, I don't think.
No, absolutely. So the double change, just to confirm, for Haggis, Vasiliuk coming on for the yellow carded Alan Smith, and Montevino coming on for Takanadi. I think that one's more of a fitness-based thing, because Takanadi had played for the reserves before his call-up, than a reflection necessarily of his performance. I could be wrong. We may never see him again in the Super League. We'll soon find out. We kick off the second half, see if the subs for Haggis alter this in any way. And it was Bostock who had the first attempt, but Haggis maybe coming forward a little bit themselves. And there's Jacques and Keane and Bowyer all getting involved. So Roberto, and it is Jacques on the hour who scores, and 2 goals in 2 minutes as Robbie Keane. And now a red card though for Lassisi. So this one might not be over yet, Steve.
With a 2-0 lead and you're being at home, I don't think a one at the back probably suffices it. Probably pulling Live back and Decor Central maybe from Scott, but
or pulling Robbie Keane back and bringing on Welsh. Like you say, they're already winning. Yeah,
maybe so. But even still, if you were to do that, I'd probably still swap Welsh and Live. I think Live's a better centre half than I don't think for all he's a DDM, whatever. I don't think Welsh is a defender. He's got options, and yeah, I certainly couldn't blame Scott for trying to see it out here.
Ian already giving up on this one, saying utter pish. Well done, Scott. Good win. They are 2-0 up, but they are a man down. Just waiting clarification from Scott what he wants to do in terms of changing it. Have we seen Scott in the chat at all? I think he was there right in the beginning.
Is there now?
There he is. Keen off for Welsh. Keen off for Welsh. Welsh to DMLC live. So we're going like that, like that, like that. Leave Jacques right. So I think that's right, isn't it, Steve?
That's correct to me, mate.
Excellent. Well, 64 minutes on the clock. It's 2-0 to Bostock Stanley, but they are now a man down. Can Haggis make a game of this? And it is. Oh, Giggs, he was offside though. And that was Haggis' chance to put a bit of pressure on. We're now inside the last 10 minutes. And it's Bostock coming forward. Claims for penalty, but the referee waves away the protests. And the full-time whistle has blown. Haggis unable to take any sort of advantage with the extra man. And really, it was a return to form from Bostock. They were efficient, if not effective, in front of goal. You know, less than 50% of their attempts on target, but they did score from 2 out of 3 of them. Haggis creating nothing really in that second half at all.
Yeah, so I think Scott will be delighted that he's gone and done a little bit of something second half. Obviously, the result with the Burn result, it keeps him in touching distance for that second spot as well, which, as we were alluding to before we started, it's massive and it's proved to be massively important. And there, his boy again, he's built a squad around trying to be competitive to start with, but with an eye on getting into season 3/4 with some of these players. Your Live, your Jacks, your Welsh. He got Welsh from me after the initial draft, and he's coming to fruition what he's doing now. And take me off to him for having a look a bit longer term as well as being competitive as he was right the way through from start.
No, I completely agree. And similar to what I said about some of the Devils transfer business over the last 2 years, I've said the same repeatedly about Bostock, is that although Scott is building a side around some top quality players, look at the CC, Decor, Bowyer, the fact that he has the likes of Jacques and Live and Welsh and Gonzalez is another one. He has players he trusts, the same as people like Hodgie has players he trusts, and they're the ones that he'll rely on in moments like this to get the result for him.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, as most of us are, you know, he's deep into the game and knows what he likes and knows. Obviously, he's been at league long enough to know what works as well. Obviously, we're here before this iteration of it, and he's seen performances from people. I think the big thing for him is as well, Elefropoulos was going to come to Dudley Hill at one point, but I had a chance for another transfer with the Bowyer transfer. It was supposed to be him and Tudor coming at Dudley Hill for Bowyer. I did actually stop him coming and did it as a 1-for-1 because I had opportunity to bring somebody else in who's been important to us. But since he's come in at the side, he's been a massive improvement on which I know Scott will be saddened by, but he's been a massive improvement on what Andre's been this season.
And Martin saying Jacques is a clever man's David Collins. Mr. Campbell saying no excuses, but be interested to see how many times I've had key players sitting in the fucking stand. The thing that jumps out to me as we look at the Haggis ratings is that Pleticos has finally got his 5 rating that everyone's been waiting for.
Yeah, I mean, it's disappointing for Ian is that I can understand him still pulling Casillas after the last game because he wanted to. And I don't blame him whatsoever for doing it. But moving back to DML, Giggs has been really good for him. Obviously, he had his goal chalked off. When you're disappointed in there when Mendietta's in your engine room and not really doing much, he's been up there with a lot of shots on target percentages, so he's been doing a fair bit. But he's had rings pulled around him really by Lee Bowyer when he's attempted 3 tackles. I mean, he's attempted 12 tackles, only won 3 of them. It's solid, really, but it's pretty much to improve on. And it'd have been interesting if they'd have had the full quartet tonight to see how that had panned out.
No, absolutely. Well, congratulations to Scott. Commiserations, Ian. As as you say, with the earlier results, it's a good win for Bostock. But now that there will just start to be not an unsurmountable, but a little bit of a gap between sixth and the teams below. Let's move on, and it gives us quite a tasty looking. This could be a war of attrition, this game between Churchtown and Locomotive Boston. And as you can see from the squad, there's a couple of issues in the Loco team. Pancaro injured, Clompe suspended, Figo injured, Lawson not fit either. So Greasy's had to do a bit of tinkering. Ferdinand moves back into his more regular defensive position, and he's partnering Lusanov. Petit returns to side and partners Makalele. And the big news is Montella has been dropped to the bench. Comandini partnering 2-in-2 Simone Inzaghi up front. Your thoughts on this, Steve?
I mean, I'll start with Simone Inzaghi. I know he's a massive favourite of yours from previous network saves and things like that. Yeah, I mean, he called me out beginning of the season when I was doing well for trying to pinch his formation with his arrows on his DMCs. I was playing the same as I was, just put some arrows on it. But then I've played really well last few games, actually dominated him with this formation. So it seems he's took a bit on board of what I've been doing and nicked a bit back, hasn't he? So, but in fairness, I think Del Vecchio were very, very good last night. I know he ended up bringing Donati on last night. I don't like Donati as a player on this as much as people think he can be good. I mean, look at that. Absolutely terrible. Absolutely terrible. He should be nowhere near. I'd rather have Mark Kerr than that looking at that at the minute. But the 11 on paper is still a strong 11. He's still got he likes his Italian front line, however he plays it. And Scholes can come up with certain things. I mean, he's far across DM. Makalele did okay again last night. He's missing. Clompe's been very, very good for him. Larsson's had a few little up and down performances, but as it looks there, he's been fairly dominant over a Churchtown team.
He has, although Churchtown are unbeaten in the last two fixtures, winning the reverse this season and drawing this exact fixture last season. Let's have a look at the team that Dimble has put out, and it is a revert to the week 7 tactic.
Yeah, well, this beat obviously that the prior game. We were talking this morning about it, and he said he was going to go back to what has worked against Boston before. And if you've had success against a certain team with a certain way of playing, why not go back to it and try it? Obviously, it wasn't a disgraceful defeat by any stretch of imagination last night, but obviously he's wanted to try and freshen it up a little bit, just try and keep himself in that race. And I think a result tonight really gives him a chance of it. I'm not surprised to see Alex drop because he likes him as a wide player. And for me, the only thing I'd have probably done a little bit differently is probably have Raquelme central and maybe an arrow on Brudging left-hand side just to get him a bit more involved, a bit further up pitch. But he's done really well with the squad he's had. He's added a couple of good players, as we said before the season started, and to actually get them from where they were up to actually being in the 6 and still being fighting for 6. So he's done a cracking job.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it was you who said either last night or possibly Thursday night there was no reason for Raquelme to be as rubbish as he is.
Yeah, last night. I mean, obviously there's players like Zidane, etc., that have been consistently poor. He went through a spell again. Did Raquelme have been all right at Bostock and then fell off a cliff? And he just, I don't know. It's weird. It's really weird. And how I think it goes back to what they say about like people having too many good stats in too many places. But I'd still have a Raquelme in my side. And I'm like Maka were saying it last night. You just have him on pitch and hope that he can muster something. But I understand him not playing him as well at the same time, just looking at what he's doing.
No, absolutely. Can I ask you your prediction for this one, please, sir?
I think I went for a 2-1 home win with this one.
2-1 home win. Let's see if you're right. Before a ball is kicked, Churchtown sitting in 10th. They were just 2 points behind Leddersford. Loco a further 2 points further back themselves. So really, given some of the other results we've already seen, crucial for both teams to win this, but absolutely critical not to lose it. Let's see what happens. And I can see that both Comandini and Inzaghi getting in the action early. But it's Churchtown who take the lead, and it's Agahawa on 20 minutes that opens the scoring. And Churchtown coming forward looking to be another side to get a quick fire double. Not quite as quick as everyone else tonight seems to have been. Tato saying RIP Chadwick. Hussein scores on 36 minutes to make it 2-0. And it's a long way back now for Greasy's Loco side. Everyone's been saying throughout the season that they've been looking at getting progressively worse. And is this going to be the year that he fails to make the top 6? We've reached half time, Steve, and it is 2-0 to Dimble's side, and they are absolutely dominating.
Yeah, that's a superb clinical first half from them. I think as much as they've conceded to, you might see Peruzzi on a reasonable rating here. Won a lot of passes, won a lot of tackles, and won a lot of headers. It's just been that narrow formation. I went on a really good run with it season before last, and it can be really good. Scott played it a lot of Chudley, I think, as well. Before this iteration started. It's a strong formation. It's proved to work for different teams, and yeah, all credit to Dimble for changing it up when he's got some of his favourite players in wings and this, that, and other. He's always liked to play wingers, and changing it up after a couple of indifferent results just to and he's proved right. And there's Riquelme on an 8.
Brujink having a quieter game. He's had a good start to life at Churchtown, but now surrounded by a couple of extra bodies in that AM position, seems to have slowed down his impact a little bit. Dimble is here. How are you, pal? In time to watch your game, so a quick look at your stats to see if you want to change everything. Largely comfortable though. I mean, you've got Viali there, who we spoke about a few times, potentially grossly underrated when you consider the star centre backs within the league, but he's been performing well for Churchtown. Dimble going as is, presumably from you, not a surprise to see that?
No, definitely not. Brujink's obviously a goal threat, having him there. I may have, obviously, if you're winning 2-0, you don't. Alex for Brujink may have crossed my mind if it were me, because but he's not had much at ball, so it's difficult to say what he could have done. But yeah, Viali in at season 4, Terry with Viali, and it's very, very solid.
Sorry, Steve, I'm just laughing at Duggan's comment in the chat to Greavesy. It did make me laugh. There is 45 minutes left in this game, and if anyone has the tactical nous to turn this around, you would say it was the windmilled wonder. But Dimble's side have been in good form lately, so this and let's face it, Loco haven't been. So this is going to be an upward battle no matter what he does.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Rio Ferdinand's continuing where he's been for the last few seasons, really. His stats are probably looking the best I've ever seen him. He's very, very good, as we all know, but he's up there for 20s with probably Oliver Kahn and Vieira. Yeah, difficult. There's only Lusanov there. Peruzzi's done his best, and it's Lusanov who's done okay, but it's... Yeah, difficult to know what to do.
Well, he's going with a double change to Neto coming on for Roberto Carlos, and Montella only gets a 45-minute reprieve as he comes on for Comandini. Just checking there's nothing else. Everyone else just sort of taking the piss out of Loco here in the chat. Ian Campbell calling them a finished club. And Tato offering ZZ Roberts for Montella. Let's see if the two changes have any impact. Poor piss taking. And Duggan commenting on the form of Rio Ferdinand as well, just for good measure. Just kick a man while he's down. We've already reached the hour mark, not much happening, although Montella's just had his first attempt of the half. It has been more loco than Churchtown, but they still look relatively comfortable, the home side, and certainly haven't conceded, so they won't be panicking, that's for sure. And now they start to put the foot on the gas again. Loco, whether a little bit of a storm start coming forward, can they get a goal to make it an interesting conclusion, or are Churchtown just going to ease their way to victory? Loco just lacking that attacking threat at the moment, and Del Vecchio and Inzaghi and Scholes all getting involved for the home side into the final 10 minutes now. And Bruges getting involved. There's going to be 3 minutes added on. Can't see any opportunity now for Loco to turn this around, and it's in fact Churchtown looking for a third. And from a couple of set pieces late on, but failing to convert. But a solid-looking 2-0 win for Churchtown, Steve. And Dimble staying very much in touch with the top six. And absolutely dominating the former champions.
Yeah, I mean, I think he won't be disappointed that he's finished 2, but he might be disappointed a little bit. He might think he might have been a bit more clinical. But this Churchtown team haven't been clinical, haven't been free scoring since the whole iteration. I don't think really, because obviously Kieran struggled a little bit before Dimble come in, but they've created a massive amount there, and I think it's changed it up, knowing what worked against a certain team last time, and that defensive three, they've obviously just shut out everything that Loco threw at them.
Dimble saying that's lovely in the comments. Duggan saying that's one of Dimble's best ever. Let's have a quick look at the Victoria's side stats. John Terry, man mounting at the back there. Aga Howard, probably his best ever Super League performance. And Raquelme as well, finally showing what he's capable of.
Yeah, I mean, to have ball at his feet, 48 plus his shots 50 times, he's finally getting involved. It's probably not Aga Howard's best performance in Super League. I remember him playing against Dudley Early in centre midfield and scoring a hat-trick. So it's probably second best. He got man of match in that one too, unsurprisingly. But that's fantastic for Dibble. I mean, the one player I'm interested in here, obviously Tomasi doing Tomasi things, and I remember me and Mr. Edwards were having a chat about him. Mark Van Bommel, he just doesn't seem to be able to completely cut it throughout a season at this level. He was saying through previous iterations, he gets banded about and people always go big for him because of who he is. But he's another one. It's crazy how some really, really good players don't perform in this league when they can on the game.
Well, it's quite interesting that you're pulling apart a player for a team that's just won 2-0. I can only imagine what you're about to do to this Boston side. Greavesy did pop on last night briefly, and we discussed Peruzzi, who, despite conceding 2, has made a number of fine saves there against them and picked up a 9 out of 10 rating. Zambrotta continues to be a consistent player, and Petit, another one of Greavesy's go-to men. A lot of the ratings aren't actually that bad. It's just Churchtown were really, really good tonight.
Yeah, they just completely dominated. I mean, it's no surprise to see Peruzzi on a 9 after 10 shots on him on target, and they've only conceded 2. Zambrotta, he's still sort of up there-ish, but he's not really getting his assists that he shot up there on the assist chart. But he just
he's got 5 so far this season.
He's been sat on 5 a long time though, so he hasn't contributed too much over a reasonable period, which, I mean, I can understand. I mean, you look at that, he didn't have no assists for Ian in that first season. I always remember that being a big factor, so it was no wonder that he got rid of him. But he has been very, very good rating-wise for Greavesy. But yeah, they're having a tough season, and it's a case of, I've never seen Greavesy change it up and chop as much as he has done.
He's kind of doing a stee on us, isn't he?
Yeah, all roles reversed and all that. But nice to see Tonetto come on and get an 8. It was superb when he brought him into the league. And I'm sure we'll see Montella back in the starting lineup at some point.
Just having a look through the live chat. Evening Baptista, welcome to another show. Hope you are well. I have to agree with Greavesy's question. Are you drunk, Jens? Asking if Greavesy has any transfers left. He's probably already done a load for the next window that hasn't even been announced for next season yet. And I do have to laugh at Tato's comment a little while ago. I'm playing a drinking game every time Steve says iteration. Been smashed for an hour already. Congratulations, Dimble. Commiserations to Greavesy. There'll be no windmilling the wife tonight. How many have we got left? We still got 2 more before you, Steve. Let's go to Martin's Gazelle side as they travel to Dragons. They're without Marino, who is injured for this one. So Udesi, who I was talking about last night, comes back into the side. Changed up a little bit. Mido scored against Byrne. He keeps his place. In fact, the whole sort of the front 4 unit keep their place, and it's just a tweak with the defensive setup back towards something more familiar with their couple of wins recently. It's been a tough start for mine, but form has picked up recently.
Yeah, they've been reasonable, and I think Mourinho as well has been very, very good for them. He was very, very good for Craig, hence why he let Lucio go to Dragons back then. He's been superb. So I mean, there is the players there. I think looking at it, he's working what he's got. Obviously, with Martin's view of the game and how he likes to play it, he's playing not how he overly wants to play, but he's sort of come round to the equation of, you know, getting among it with how he wants to play. And I think obviously Maka were talking about him last night with Udesi, season 4. He comes into it, but I don't think he's played enough to get to a point where he played for Parma last time in the last iteration, get another shot down your neck, Tato. When Maka were calling him Mandingo, when he went to that final with Parma against Ryan, he were class that season. So he's probably not played enough to get to where he is, but yeah, he's a very, very good player. And there is players there that can cause a lot of trouble. Mido has proved in this save that he can do it. Asamoah, I'm not too keen on myself, but again, what are his other options there for the 3?
Well, actually, on saying that, last game he brought on Giovanni, who hasn't been great himself, but to be fair, he's only had 1 sub appearance for the first team. That was last time out, and now he's not even on the bench. He'd been performing quite well for the reserves before his call up. I think he's already given up with Penardi. Gaetan hasn't really had a look in since Duggan left. You've also got Juninho was brought in for a reason, but he's not really had many chances. So there are options there. Like I say, I think he's given up with Penardi. Zenden got called up, not featured at all. I know he plays on the other side, but there are options.
Yeah, I mean, Gaetan was okay at the start of the season for Duggan. He scored like I say, I remember him getting involved in a couple of games. I think he scored against us in that game with a bit of 3-2. And yeah, they're not like screaming at you to say, play me, either over what's playing there in front of them.
Oh, are you still there, Steve, or have you frozen?
I'm here, mate.
Oh, no. Sorry. I thought he cut you off sort of halfway through the sentence there. As we've said, reserve swaps are, after this game, almost certainly Vieri will be back in the first team fold, and could play a key part if they can get a result here and close the gap on teams. You know, they're 5 points, I believe it is, behind Astor at the moment. So if they can close that gap a little bit, Vieri could fire them off the bottom spot by the end of the season.
Yeah, it's a Vieri with the least amount of 20s I've seen with him as well. But it will be massive for them in the quest to get off at bottom when he comes back. He needs to find them shooting boots. And he's had little spells in the save where he's gone, especially when he first went to Sloss. He scored about 10 in 9 games, I think, and then dripped off a little bit. Just needs to find some consistent form, but he's better options than what they have got at the minute when he comes up.
It's worth noting that I run a second version of this where I just sort of mess about with the teams myself when I've got some spare time. And I think Gazelles certainly have a lot more potential than a bottom of the table team possess. And that's without playing a traditional 2-7-1 as well. But anyway, let's have a look at Dragons, who I've said on more than one occasion have a squad capable of challenging the top six. They currently sit in ninth, 23 points. So again, they started 2 points behind Leddersford before a ball was kicked. And they tweak it again. They recall Raoul and back. They put Clivert back up front. Zidane continues to play that central fulcrum. Emerton, who's probably, is this going to be his best season in terms of game time? Almost certainly. This is his 16th, which matches the last 2 years, and there's still more games to play. Not really chipped in with the assists that's perhaps expected of him yet. But then Dragons haven't been in full flow. They've been another sort of on and off side, haven't they?
Yeah, I mean, I think early part of the season, I think Gattuso playing out there and rating very well. I mean, Lezans has come in and done an absolutely solid job when he's played. I'm not surprised to see Raoul and back in from the little experiment they did last night. But it's a lot of arrows. Is that a lot of arrows? I know they're at home, but when there's a lot of arrows there and you're playing 3 AMCs with no arrows on that are sat there as well, there's a chance they could overload them 2 DMCs. But intriguing game. I do think Dragons will go on to nick it, just because they have little stretches of decent form, and obviously coming off the back of a really, really good win. And regardless of what Tato says about his team, to go away in the Super League and win and not concede is massive. I do think they'll nick it, but I think it'll be a very, very, very tight game.
So Dragons to nick it, but in a tight game. Let's kick this one off then. This game 5, I believe this is, of the evening. It does look like Dragons started the quickest in that open sort of 5 or 6 minutes, and looking to make that early domination count, although a lot of time flew by without anything happening. We're now at half an hour. Patrick Clivert does score, restored to the main striker role, and back in the goals, just what Jamie will want to see. Gazelle's coming forward now looking for an equaliser, but they fail to make that materialise at this point. And there is Hersey with his first ever Gazelle's goal. This Caribbean crush is doing me no favours in terms of talking, or maybe I've just done too much of it in the last 24 hours. But we've reached half time, and it is 1-1 Steve. Dragons creating more, but being very wasteful. How many times have we said that about Dragons, that they are very wasteful in front of goal?
Yeah, it was a fair bit last night. I think it was the same last night with Aston at half time. I think they were both 5 or 5 and 4 with only one on target, and there must be a lot of people on long shots. But it just shows if they do get it right, they have got the players there to be able to put it away. It's just finding that bit of a fulcrum that'll just keep it down and keep them on target. If they start getting them on target a bit more, they will score goals.
Martin's saying lucky to be in it still. Yikes. Quick look at the home team first, and fairly solid ratings throughout. I mean, Jamie probably be looking for a little bit more output from back, but despite the 6 rating, he's seeing a fair bit of the ball. It's just he's not as involved as his other attacking teammates. Raoul 3 of the attempts, none on target. Clivert 3 of the attempts, 1 on target, 1 goal. Jamie going as is. Are you surprised to see that, or not, given what we've seen in the stats?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's nobody there you could bring on to replace Archie back there. Who'll come up with a moment of magic at any time. And yeah, it's a solid performance. They've played very well. So yeah, I'm certainly not surprised to see it.
Zayaleas, the pick of the bunch for Gazelles in that first half. Hersey, as we know, getting the goal. Asamoah, the lowest rated of the attacking players. Mido, I think this is the first time he's not been averaging a 6 at half time in any game since he signed. Day, though, strange to see him sat there on a 6.
Yeah, I mean, it's not winning any tackles against Brett Emerton. I mean, Zayaleas, he's sat there in a central on his own against against Rowell and back. So he's having to fill an hole that two men might have needed to. And it's not surprised to see that he's doing so well as he has. He were a big player. He were a big player for Gazelle, for Dragons, sorry, which is why I know when Duggan took over, he brought him in. It's not poor from Gazelles either. So they've conceded a lot of targets. For me, if I've conceded 6 shots but only one of them on target, I'm quite happy with that. Like I said, Martin thinks he's quite lucky to be in it. It's if all them are getting peppered on your goal, that's when you need to start worrying a bit. But ZLAS just seems he's been a bit of a man mountain in there.
No, absolutely. Asamoah fucking trolling me. Give Bastuk a run is the comment from the Gazelles manager. So that is what we will do. For all the good he'll do. So one change for Gazelles at halftime, none for Dragons. Let's see what the second half offers us as we kick off. Dragons starting quite quickly again. Zidane getting very involved. Gazelles trying to come forward, but Dragons not allowing it to happen. Instead, looking to go in search of a second themselves. So Mido now getting involved in Karagunis, Bastuk, yellow card there for Ekiog. Dede coming forward and playing it to Hersey, but he runs offside. And an injury for Zidane. All that time flew past. I got so involved in the text commentary, I didn't even slow this one down. I do apologise. But on 89 minutes, Zidane has gone off with an injury. I'm going to presume Jamie will do something along the lines of... no, not back. That.
I think for me, if it were me, without Gattuso and Davids are playing at the minute, I'd be conscious of just because Lezans is like very, very utility-wise, and I'd probably just look at Lezans on and just...
That's exactly what he's done. He's bringing Lezans on for injury time. We'll slow it down for injury time just in case anything happens. Nothing happened. Full time, it's finished 1-1 and probably a fair result on reflection of the match stats, Steve.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it depends how you look at it, doesn't it? I know there were talks in chat about on target and off target, but they've been very, very solid there defensively of Dragons. Just maybe not so much going forward, but like I said, they've got a good side. They've picked up another point. It keeps them in hunt for 6 for now, and still all to play for. And like I said, Martin there at this present minute is now clawing back to 4 points to Astor and Sloss. So his quest for getting off at bottom still fairly intact as well.
Yeah, and again, crucial for Dragons, given other results, not to lose, but obviously a win would have been preferable to be more within touching distance. So, yeah, I think there's positives there for both managers. If we have a look at the Gazelle stats, Martin saying there, we'll take it, poor game, but happy with the point. It still shoots for improvement. Tomadira, one of a number of players to rate 8s. Throughout the game, Udeze getting an 8. Depending on how long Mourinho's out for, might we see a few more appearances for him between now and the end of the season as well. Bashluk came on and had a little bit more of an impact than Asamoah did, so might that be a change we see going forward as well. Again, plenty for Martin to think about.
Yeah, I mean, I can't understand why he's dropped, really. He attempted a load more tackles and he's won quite a lot of them. But I mean, Basturk, I mean, the thing that always, when you've got 2 defensive midfielders like Davids and Gattuso were on, and it shows that Basturk probably putting a bit of pressure on from AMC, winning 3 tackles. Dede's picked up a little bit. There's been plenty of positives, I think, since Martin's been in charge, really. It really has. He's been tweaking it a little bit and working with it, and
potentially with another transfer window, he could get more out of this squad potentially.
Yeah, he'd probably have to lose. He'd probably lose a couple of players he doesn't like as well to try and bring a couple he does like in and knows how they work. In terms of what he's got to work with into trying to bring something game changing in, I'm not so sure he's got too much there to work with now. Now with season 4 in, people have got pretty settled sides. But Yeah, if there were another transfer window and you could go at it, you can get quite good ratings from a DML DMR, regardless of who they are. So if you really want to change his team up enough, could it be somebody losing like somebody like a Dede or maybe as a Alias to try and bring enough in to change the team enough?
Mm-hmm.
But it's an intriguing position that he's in. But I say he's still in with a massive fight of getting off that bottom at the minute.
And just a final comment on Dragons, as we say, still there or thereabouts in terms of in the hunt for a top 6 spot. It's been a significant, much like yourselves, a significant improvement on what it was last season. And whether they do or don't make it this year, there's certainly signs there that they're back on the way up, as opposed to regressing, as we've said about certain other sides tonight.
Definitely. They've had, like I said, really good results. They've been a lot more defensively solid over the last few games or so, which is a testament to how they're setting back up. Especially, but when they, like I said, when the defensive players are rating like that, they are really difficult to break down with who they are. So, yeah, they're definitely back in with a massive shout. With another transfer window in, maybe lose one or two big players, but they'll probably get a couple of big players in as well, and it could change it all up for them again, like we've seen previously.
Absolutely. That brings us to our penultimate game, and Astor, the perennial penultimate gamers, travel to Fulchester. Although it has to be said, Tato has had 3 or 4 early games in over the last couple of weeks, so it's nice for him to be on late again. Fulchester go as is or as was for the 2-0 win over Leddersford. And the last couple of fixtures being the wins since Maka booted Ryan out of the dugout and saying, no, you've had your chance now, I'm going to sort this out and rescue our playoff bid. And he's gone back to a tried and tested formula.
Yeah, the three have been really good for him, regardless of who he's had up there, whether it were Roy and whether it's Chris Sutton coming in and playing as well. They've done really good. And obviously we're getting Shevchenko got his goal again last night. Losing Giggs, I don't think were too much of a loss to him because they had players that could filter in and play on that left. I can understand why Biscan's starting there as well when you got Verona who's looking to try and create a bit. So he'd probably sit and try and hold and try and realise Zinoni is for us. Just try and just get his foot in there a bit more defensively as well. But they've been very, very good over the last few seasons. And considering they have big name players as well, which people perceive to be myths, Maka likes his big name players and he's getting tunes out of big name players as well. So, yeah, obviously we're sat sort of neck and neck with them at this present minute in time. And it's difficult to see past a Fulchester winning this game.
This really, we're going to look at their side in a minute. The win last time out for Fulchester was crucial for them, as we said in the intro. If we go and have a look at Astor, these are generally very close games, as we've just seen in the history. But this is almost looking really last chance saloon for them, isn't it? Given, again, you look at the Halls result in particular, they're now going to be, if my maths is right, 7 points behind going into this, with 6 games to go at the end of it.
Yeah, it's. From the start that they had as well, they were really strong at the start of the season, and obviously Tato were playing his chances down from word go. But when he'd seen his side go out, get results, score goals, and get wins and pick up draws, it's no wonder that he's disappointed the way that they've seemed to have just fallen off a cliff a little bit. But they've got players that can produce and can get in there. And I know Game Engines talks about a lot, but when you've not won in 6, you're in with a shout at getting a result. Personally, I'd like to have seen a little bit of an arrow on Emerson to AMC. I try and get a bit more involved and get his foot up there, but it's the first time I think I've seen Tato play something like this, and it looks very balanced, very even, and it's going to be interesting to see how this one pans out.
I do try to, as you know, read between the lines of certain things that managers say, and without divulging the direct quote, I believe there may have been something in Macca's psyche that was, do I do my new friend Tato, who lives just up the road, a bit of a favour to revive his playoff dream? And then when the team was submitted, the comment made very much against doing Tato any favours. It has to be said, you'll notice there that youngster Christian Cruz is back in the 11. That is because Vrede ineligible against his parent club for this season.
Yeah, I mean, it starts to look better than they were before he come into Master. I actually got a picture of him off Ryan, obviously before he went and went on to pastures new. The fact that Tato has been, obviously messaged Macca an absolute gentleman about it and changed his team up a little bit. He's left Owen on bench for the old club theory. But Rossini's living off a couple of good seasons at a previous club in a previous time, and I won't say the word again. I think personally, I mean, if you edit the teams into whatever you, for some reason he always starts in reserves, it obviously shows you where the game finds him. But he starts. He's near enough 1 and 2 from starting, and it's well worth a shot. And it's going to be. I think it's going to be really interesting to see how this one pans out, but I still can't see past a 2-1 Fulchester win.
Well, for the last time tonight, if I can ask you for your prediction.
2-1 Fulchester win.
Oh, sorry. That's what happens when you work off a script. Jesus. Yeah. Autopilot, my God. 2-1 Fulchester win. Let's kick this one off. To see if you are correct. And it's Lee Chun-So, his first ever Astor goal on 14 minutes. And Rossini makes it 2 on 19 minutes. And it's already 2-1 Cisse on 20 minutes. And what a game this is already turning into. I do hope this continues. Appeals for a penalty turned down for Astor as Fulchester go looking for an equaliser before half-time. We're on 39 minutes on the clock. And a big injury as Captain Rayed is stretchered off. Steers tipped a 2-1 home game, 2-1 home win in all games, says Jens. And well, Rayed injury. Michael Owen, either as a straight swap or does he pull Rossini back and put ZZ Roberts up there as a target man, in your opinion?
It's difficult, isn't it? When you're 2-1 up, you're away at home. You want to try and consolidate a little bit as well. Yeah, I'm not surprised he's doing that, but I know he's played Vashuk in defensive midfield a few times. I'd maybe have been inclined to pull Emerson there and put Vashuk back to DM with Scally in centre midfield. He can play centre midfield really well and get assists in a home save, I might add, before people kick off. But
the one thing Emerson does get is the captain's armband. We continue this game as we head towards half-time and get a proper reflection. Will we get a fourth goal of the half? Fulchester trying to squeeze one in, but can't. And now Astor on the break. Emerson missing the last chance of the half. And Jim Bellos calls time on the first half. Macca pointing out that Tato did resubmit after already announcing a team. He'd submitted a team while last night's stream was going on. And then asked Macca permission to change the team because his rage had subdued. What a half of football that was. I mean, Fulchester creating a bit more, as you'd expect from the inform side and the home side. But Astor was certainly in this and winning, it has to be said.
Yeah, it's performance from them, first half. Macca would probably be a bit frustrated at the fact that they've had 8 attempts with only 2 of them on target. Let's say, especially we're talking about some quality he's got. It's on a knife edge. Fulchester have got more than enough qualities to put 1 or 2 away in second half. It just depends how resilient Astor can be this second half, or if they can try to put a bit of pressure on from the front themselves.
Well, I've clicked on the home stats, and the first thing that I've noticed is we're about to see a Buffon bashing from Macca without question.
He's not been duly bad. It's not under a 6, which has been prevalent a couple of times over the last season and a half or so. But I mean, looking at it, obviously Shevchenko, he lost a very good player for him in Ryan Giggs.
Yeah.
For Shevchenko, so they won't bring him off. If you look at the rest of the team, they're playing well. John Curtis, bit meh, maybe, but he ain't got no else, in my opinion, defensively, can bring him on for him. But that's a decent performance all round, I would have thought.
Let's have a look then at the away team while Maka decides if he wants to change it up slightly. Again, solid ratings all round. Sorin slightly struggling on that left-hand side. But you mentioned Rossini living off past glories, and he's certainly sticking a middle finger up to the commentary box with that first half performance.
Yeah, there is Big Krug looking at the next season. Is obviously by trying to give him a bit of a run now. He's there. He's in with an assist, and he'll be delighted. I can imagine him sat screaming, "Yes, it is." Whatever device he's watching it on, and it's a very good first half again. 7s and 8s, pretty much like the Fulchester team is. And like I say, Rossini's outdoing himself, which he has had spells of being really good, really good. And Michael Owens had nothing at all, but it's. I still can't call which way it's going to go.
Both managers going as is. Maka using the C word at the moment, which has been prevalent today and a topic we will be discussing ahead of the last match. But let's see what else this game has to offer before the main event of the evening. As we approach the hour mark, and it's Aston who have dominated so far, it would appear, in the second half. And as I say that, Ronaldo on 65 minutes has levelled things up. Let's slow this one down. 4 goals already, 15 minutes to go. Fulchester coming forward now, looking for their third of the night. Cisse and Ronaldo playing it between themselves. Honcho again in the way. Fulchester want a penalty. And Jim Belos waves the claims away. Yepes, Veron, Nedved, Shevchenko, who was quite in that first half. Beckham with the effort. Bishkan from distance. And it just looks like Fulchester are building ahead of steam. Can Asta, though, on the counter, fine save from Buffon. And Owen, Asta have been good from set pieces this season. It has been one of their strengths. 4 minutes to be added on. And here comes Emerson and Rossini. Goal kick by Buffon, but Rossini picks up again. And Owen, Buffon sends it upfield. His distribution looks to have been poor. And Asta may have won it. Rossini on the 89th minute. And there is the full-time whistle. and already Mac is saying, this is the last time I give anyone time to change. Rossini on the 90th minute has scored a winner to almost save Asta's season. And suddenly, Fulchester are being dragged back into the mix again and opens the door for Dudley to start making a claim for top 4. Has to be said, very good game. And Asta, both sides creating. Fulchester continued to be wasteful, but strong levels of performance by Asta.
They've been superb there, Asta. Looking at the stats, it's deserved. Maka being a total gentleman, as he is, I'm not surprised he obviously gave Tato permission to do it. I've submitted team once this season. In haste after a result, and then found out players are injured when you get your pack. So, obviously for different reasons, but he does it to this league. You got results. To be fair, it is a massive result for us, and that's probably Asta's best performance this season, really. But Fulchester haven't been poor, have they?
No, just looking through the ratings here, everyone's been involved. Shevchenko's been a bit quiet in this one, which might infuriate Maka a little bit. Buffon's level of performance certainly improved despite conceding another goal, but he did make a number of fine saves we saw in the text commentary. Really, if you were looking at this without knowing the score, this is one of those performances where you would imagine these were the performances of a team that perhaps at least drew, if not won a game.
Yeah, there's definitely a result there if you cut off the top bar. Curtis picked himself up, Nicky Butt doing Nicky Butt things as he has done all season. And I mean, Yepes, I think he come in for a bit of criticism recently, did Yepes, before finding himself back in team. But I think over the course of this save, I think he's been exceptional for Fulchester. So yeah, that's an extremely solid performance, and one that they you wouldn't look that they've lost. But I totally agree with what you said. It's up to us to capitalise on a bit of good fortune, which when it has happened, we haven't done before. So
strong ratings all round. Rossini with a 10 out of 10 performance for his 2 goals. Lee Chun-so, the other goal scorer, rating an 8. Neil Scally there, delighting all of his doubters with a 9 out of 10 performance. Although I would argue, is he getting that purely for intent in the game? Because 24 out of 36 passes and 9 out of 13 tackles isn't exactly a mesmerising performance. I've seen people with similar ratios get lower than 9 ratings.
I mean, over half of what he won were key. I mean, he were very good last night as well, if memory serves right. I know it's not that far back.
What's that got to do with tonight's rating?
Yeah, I just think he's just proving having a bit of a run, considering he were at Aggies and they loved him and he didn't play much. I think he's proven himself to be worthy of being at this level. But after, again, I need to apologise to Macca from commentators' curse and all that, saying Rossini's probably living off past glories and past memories out there, and done a. I mean, Ray had on an 8 again, and his first assist for a few games, and yeah, it's
he'll be a big loss. Tate will be hoping he's not out a long time.
Yeah, I mean, looking at being 37, I think it's probably an orange one, but they've been very good tonight. And apart from the 9 and 10, if you take the 9 and 10 out of it, the both sides look very, very even. But I just think they were just far more clinical.
No, absolutely. Congratulations, Tato. Huge win that. Commiserations, Macca. I hope the laptop has not been thrown out of the window. And that brings us to our concluding fixture as your Dudley Hill team travel to Spartak Sloths. Last time out, you had that win over Bostock that we saw and spoke about earlier. Your head-to-head record for this fixture, you have the better record, and it's one of the few fixtures in the calendar that still hasn't had a draw.
Yeah, I noticed that. I think, considering the extensive attacking nature which Sloths play, it's not really surprising, considering we can be liable to concede quite regularly. But yeah, it's what it is. I'm looking forward to the game, and it's about trying to capitalise on that last result.
Absolutely. Now, we have to talk about team selection and some controversy supposedly with regards to your team. So if you want to talk about what you've decided to do, and then I will discuss the league's official standpoint on this.
Yeah, so obviously from re-watching everything back this morning, it were quite obvious after seeing the yellow cards there were some Sloths players unavailable. Until before I watched that, I thought I wanted to give Mercedes a run in front of Zanoni because he's been poor. He's got 2 6s last 2 games. So I thought I'd give Mercedes a run. I then watched the show back and realised that they were missing. And then I realised when I put it up on, Mercedes was supposed to be playing, and then to get chastised by the manager, who I thought I had a really close and decent relationship with, I decided to be the bigger man and play the player that's been underperforming, but he's a better player anyway. So
now, for what it's worth, the league's official standpoint is when I send the packs out, I 9 times out of 10 will set a deadline. The managers can chop and change their squad as often as they want, as far as I'm concerned. In that time, I would suggest it is seen as unsportsmanlike behaviour if someone was to perhaps send a team out on Twitter via their official channels that was completely different to what was selected. However, that is entirely down to the manager, and some may see it as mind games that are perfectly in keeping with the manner of the sport. I mean, we watched Chelsea today make a substitute to bring on a keeper with a better penalty record, get nowhere near saving any penalties, yet spent most of his time trying to distract the Liverpool players with gamesmanship. Gamesmanship is part of the beautiful game, I'm afraid, and if a manager wanted to do that, that is their prerogative. So, as far as I was concerned, you'd submitted a Mercedes replacement before the deadline that was set, and you were well within your rights to keep that. But I perfectly understand your position on not doing so because you didn't want to bring the game into disrepute.
That's probably about it. It seems I've got a little bit of a certain reputation for being all right, and to have the Slough manager, who again I speak very highly of, chastise me personally and bringing the league's name into disrepute itself. I think he needs slinging in front of the committee that's no longer about. And
there is a committee working in the background.
But no, in fairness, look, I totally get it. It seemed I know Rob, but it's all been in jest and what have you. But if he were thinking I were playing Zanoni, I would more than happy to put Zanoni back in because he can't have another 6. If he gets another 6 tonight, there will be uproar, but I didn't think there'd be another way he could have another 6 anyway. So I'm more than happy to put it back in just to bring no dispute to the league and to appease the Sloss manager. And if I win, he'll moan about it anyway because I won't play the team that I was supposed to play. If I lose, he'll say that's what you get for trying to be a cheating twat. And so I'm on hiding it nothing anyway. But anyhow.
Sloths themselves, have we seen they've had to make changes, and Dye suspended, Desai injured, Kaluzhny injured. That's 3 big players for Sloths. So when you see this team, I mean, they've brought in Simeone, who's not exactly a downgrade as such. I mean, you would argue probably is on Ndai, but on the 3 in total. Albertini coming in probably isn't ideal. And Desai was only on the bench anyway. You must have a certain level of confidence knowing that those 3 players are missing for Sloths, because you've said that they play an expansive attacking game, so missing 3 key defensive players is going to detract from their capabilities.
Yeah, I mean, season 1, Albertini is very, very good, I find. I'm in the camp of what Rob said last night about Van der Vaart being absolute trash. He were crap from me. He were crap for Dragons, and ratings are just... His ratings just don't contribute to what he should be. I never really get it on a home save from him either, so I understand where Rob's thought process was. But we know that Sloss can just pull a massive result and give somebody a spanking out of nothing, out of nowhere. And as much as I've not been out at top 6 this season, I'm still not confident of finishing there. So it's, going away at Sloss, even though I've got a slightly better record, it seems we go hammer and tongue at it, and it is what it is.
I wanted to ask you about Jonathan Woodgate. He's taken Desai's place on the bench, played 12 times in the reserves, not got the best average rating, it has to be said, for his reserve football this year. Not yet featured for the first team and had very limited opportunities in previous seasons, although history would suggest that when he has had a chance, he hasn't disappointed. When you see his stats in this save, I mean, just picking out 2 in particular, 20 heading, 19 tackling, are you surprised that a team that come across as not as defensively sound aren't giving him more of a look?
I mean, Gamara's been very, very good for him. He's brought Vagarin in from Fulchester, who were very, very good for Fulchester. He's got Matarazzi. I'm not surprised he's not playing, in fairness. I mean, look, if you look at Matarazzi there, he looks very, very good. So I'm not surprised he's not playing, considering his options, but he does look pretty decent.
They do have quite an ageing squad, the Sloth, so maybe he's one for next year, potentially?
Well, at least he hasn't got 2 of his top centre-halves retiring. So it's a start, even though they are aging.
So again, I won't ask you, as a lot of managers don't like to make predictions for their own team. So I'll just say good luck to you and good luck to Rob for the final game of tonight. And Luca Toni opens the scoring with the first meaningful attack of the half. 10 minutes in, the away side do lead. And it looks like they're coming forward looking for a second Dudley. But Pizarro with a chance. Great football, it says there, by Sloths. Half an hour now on the clock. Sloths looking much more interested in this fixture now. And they have equalised through Materazzi. Steve was saying it in the build-up, how good they look. But Lizarazu strikes back instantly and gives Dudley a 2-1 lead. From out wide, Mackay getting involved. Shearer now, 2 minutes to be added on at the end of this first half. And just as we head in towards injury time, Saviola, as the fist pump in the air from the co-commentator, Dudley take a 3-1 lead in at the break. And, well, I think I asked last night, is the question, are Dudley the real deal? This is very much saying yes, Steve. You must be absolutely delighted with that first half performance.
I mean, yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that's 4 in 6 for Saviola since he's come in now, which is massive. I absolutely hate the formation I'm playing in terms of playing a 1MC, 1AMC, but what I've created, the chances created and on target since I've been playing it. Obviously, you look back on, obviously, last night were a little bit better than Bostock, which were probably worst have done. You look back to Churchtown game, which, as you said, people apologise for, go back further than that to Burn. We really took game to Burn. I don't think I've seen Burn that dominated. I don't know why it's working like it is, but it's seemingly so at the minute. So yeah, I'm delighted, mate.
We'll give Rob a chance to look at his stats first. I think we'll put Matulin, normally a dependable goalkeeper for Sloss, having an absolute mare tonight. A couple of sevens dotted around, but a largely very average performance. And once again, looking at the attacking unit, certainly not a Sloths-esque performance. Cole rating low, Shearer rating low, Pizarro as well. There's certainly a lot to be concerned about if you are a Sloths manager or fan.
Yeah, it's difficult. I mean, they've got decent enough players there. Have they been weakened by letting Zeriberto go, who were a big mainstay of what they were doing? I mean, I still, as I'm looking at this, I've normally been all right away from home. I still don't feel I'm out of it, and I'm still not buying into the Dudley the real deal malarkey. But if it stays as is, it puts us up to 4th at the minute, which is uncharted nosebleed territory for us. But when Sloths can be off the cuff and can score 3 or 4 goals out and out, as Christian Poulsen did, still won't put it past them stepping it up and doing well. But look at Zenone.
Rob was quite vocal earlier with Haggis and with Loco results. Gone a little bit quiet closer. We've got to his game time. While we wait for news from the Sloths camp, if they want to make any changes, a quick look at the Dudley Hill stats. And other than the keeper, who's had little to do but has conceded, a very, very strong away performance, Steve.
Yeah, Lizarazu, 2 goals in 2 games. That's it. That puts Saviola up at 4 in 6, I think, since coming in. Nice to see Luca nearly didn't play tonight, but it puts him back on 4 in 7. A couple of assists as well, so I think that's really, really good from him. But yeah, it's nice to see Luca Toni back amongst goals. He's been my little go-to. But like I said on a video, it's nice with Saviola coming in and scoring goals. It's nice to not be relying on Tony as well. So we've been getting results, even though he's been a bit goal shy. And yeah, I'm just delighted that I'm going to go as is.
You're going to go as is. Nothing yet through from Sloth, so we'll give Rob another 20-30 seconds, a chance to do a little bit of housekeeping and admin just to let you all know what's coming up. There is a round of Swemp Division 1 straight after this, so if Super League isn't enough champ action for your Sunday night needs, then be sure to join Mega Horse over for some Division 1 action. I am joining him on comms tomorrow for Division 2 action. And straight after that is when the packs will go out for the managers for the next round of Super League, which will be on Thursday as normal. If you're interested in doing co-commentary, please let me know. And then it'll be Sunday again for game week. Where will we be then? 22.
Yeah.
22, and very close to the end of the season. And needless to say, there'll be a squeaky bum time for a few managers by the time Sunday comes around. Still nothing from Rob, so we're going to kick the second half off.
He's probably put his champagne back on shelf again.
Dudley with the 3-1 lead at half time, continuing to come forward, looking for a 4 through Luca Toni. He fails to hit the target. We're now at the hour mark, still looking quite comfortable, although Sloth's coming forward, and Shearer makes it 3-2, and suddenly Stee is scratching his head, and he's got a little bit closer to the screen, not quite as happy as he was. 20 minutes to go, 1 goal in it. Let's slow this one down. Tony on the rebound, but the keeper manages to get his body around the ball. Shearer coming forward now, and then Holland, a free kick, and Pizarro picks it up, tries his luck, and then gets a corner for his efforts. Van der Vaart swings it in, but it's cleared away. And now Saviola coming forward, tries to be Matt Holland. He lets fly. Keeper can't hold on to it. Mackay must score. Mackay does score. And it is 4-2 to Dudley Hill. Another fist pump from the Dudley Hill manager. And surely now Sloths can't come back again. 14 minutes plus injury time left as they get a free kick. Van der Vaart to take it. And Pizarro, it's 4-3. What a concluding game to the night. And the glasses are coming off. There's a rub of the face from Steve. Can't believe what he's seeing. Throwing Valgarin, Shearer, Joe Cole, Shearer. Hits Zanoni, goes out for a corner. 5 minutes plus injury time to go. Can Sloths equalise? They felt late heartache last night. Shearer missing. Can they cause some late heartache? We go into injury time, and there is a full-time whistle, and very much, if you could see the sigh of relief from Steve, needless to say, that was not as comfortable as it should have been, was it, pal?
No, not all. And there's nothing better than seeing so many minutes of injury time and seeing nothing until final whistle. But that's again, I talk about what we created. We've done very well there, but it were a little bit of a stretch of the old Dudley Hill there, just letting teams come at us. But delighted with win, and we plough on.
And that suggests this is the sort of Super League game we had become accustomed to, particularly a couple of years ago, where teams were really going at it hammer and tong with each other.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised Sloss has scored 3. I'm slightly surprised we've only scored 4 in a sense, but it shows we're a bit more resolute. It shows since Saviola's come in, we're a bit more clinical in front of goal, and we'll take it.
Dimble saying, as much as I like you, Steve, it would have been good to get a live reaction to a late equaliser there. Let's have a look. Joe Cole, the only player rating below a 7 for Sloths. Much better ratings throughout the team for that second half. And it was just like we said, it was just a slugfest, wasn't it? And you score, we'll score, and it's who could get that last blow. And you got 4, they got 3.
I mean, Shearer's been very good for him this season. He's come up with some crucial goals, keeping him in games or putting him in front. It's not a performance that somebody that's been quite easily beat. Not easily beat, but not being beat at home. It's very solid right through, like you say, apart from Joe Cole. And I think as much as we battered them in a sense, I still think we've got away with it because they can just score out and out, as they've proved. And it's only second time we scored 4 this season, so we're pretty happy with that.
And it was the good, the bad, and the ugly in terms of Dudley Hill performances. You got Zanetti getting man of the match for a 10 out of 10 rating. Lizarazu 9 and a goal, same as Roy Mackay there, who scored late, 9 and a goal. And then Pellizzoli, who's normally very reliable for you, getting a 6 for his performance, having conceded 3.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised. He got a 5, got dropped for the game, and then come back and he's been superb since, and that's only poor rating he's had since, so he won't be getting dropped or anything. But when Kaladza and Ado have been got out a bit, obviously, even though Cole's got a 6, and they've sort of struggled a little bit. But yeah, we've got away with a win. Nice to see Mackay coming at a party properly. Obviously, like I said, nice to have Tony back on the score sheet, but Saviola as well. It's, that's not too bad. I'd say that 4-goal contributions in 6. He probably deserves a run. Probably deserves to be settled. And listen, it might have been 4 for it other way around if Becerras was sat in that centre midfield and Zanoni wasn't strong defensively.
No, absolutely. Well, congratulations and commiserations, Rob. Let's have a look then at the official classified results for tonight. We had Bostock 2, Haggis 0, Churchtown 2, Loco 0, Dragons 1, Gazelles 1, Fulchester 2, Astor 3, Halls 3, Leddersford 0, Northern Burn 1, Devils 2, and Sloths 3, as we've just seen, Dudley Hill 4. That leaves the table looking like this. Devils now 14 points clear of Northern Burn with 6 games to go of the regular season. Bostock 2 points behind Burn. Dudley a further 2 behind Bostock. So it has to be asked, Steve, with 6 games to go, and I know you'll be saying that you're not safe in the playoffs yet regardless, despite Tato, I think it was, saying if Dudley win this, playoffs are all but confirmed. You're officially only 4 points off second. Are you daring to dream of one of those top 2 spots?
Yeah, I'll dream about it, mate. I'll dream about it all day long. I remember putting a post out recently looking at our fixtures, and I think we had obviously Burn at home, Churchtown.
So let's have a quick look. So you've got Halls at home next, Fulchester away, Dragons at home, Astor away, Leddersford at home, Loco away.
Yeah, I was looking at the previous. I was looking at, obviously, I don't have me and Greaves. I don't have a great record against Greaves. Now look at that bank of fixtures I've just finished. I put a tweet out about them. You're playing Devils, Burn, Bostock, top 3 in space of a few games, as well as Churchtown, who are very good at home.
And you picked up 6, well, including the Churchtown game, you picked up 7 out of a possible 12.
Yeah, which I was delighted with. I'd have taken 3 or 4, in fairness, and try and just keep myself in fight. So we're looking okay. We're looking fairly strong, stronger than we have ever done. And we'll keep plugging away, and we'll just see if we can.
Well, let's carry on looking through the league then. So from where you are on 32 points, Fulchester 2 points behind you. They have a 3-point gap over Halls, who jump into the top 6 now. Churchtown a point further back on 26. Then we've got Leddersford 25. Dragons are within a win as well on 24. Then we've got Haggis and Astor both on 23. Have to work a little bit harder, but still only a 4-point gap. Loco currently sits 6 outside the playoffs on 21. Sloths dropped to 13th. They're on 20. 4 points clear of Gazelles on 16. Now we've got Sloths, who have conceded the most amount of goals now in the league, so that will give Gazelles and Martin a little bit of hope as well. We're starting to see the break that we knew would come eventually. There's a couple of points between teams now, and we're seeing that, only up to 9th are within a win of being in the top 6, but it's still very tight. There's still a number of teams you would say are in the mix. I mean, Gazelles, you're saying no because they're 11 points with 18 to play for. Sloths 7 with 18 to play, probably not, I think you would argue. And then, so really, I think you're looking Loco upwards because it's 6 points. It's still achievable.
I think if anybody round that area, I think if anybody can just string 2 wins together, it's shown how many teams are beating each other.
Yeah.
I'm going to go as far to say, as much as we've said every year, it looks tighter than ever. I genuinely don't think it's been as tight as it currently is over the course of whenever. It's fantastic that, in theory, we've got 6 games to go, where 14th is normally out of sight, but in theory they could still get there. It's testimony to what everybody's done transfer-wise, testimony to what everybody's playing tactic-wise, and just testimony to how everybody's just like picking up points or beating each other. It's absolutely fantastic.
No, completely agree. Let's have a look at what is to come then. On Thursday. We'll talk about your game last so we can have a little bit of reaction. Gazelles versus Sloths. Massive game at the bottom of the table. If Gazelles can win that one, then wow. We certainly have interest at the bottom of the table as well. If Sloths win, then Gazelles' season's all but over, I'm afraid to say. We've got Haggis against Fulchester, Ledisford against Astor, two teams chasing those top 6 spots. Both desperately need the win. Loco Dragons, very similar fixture to the previous one. And then look at that, a game that you'll have one eye on, I'm sure. Second place Northern Burn entertaining third place Bostock Stanley. I imagine you're sat here now thinking a draw would be absolutely ideal. And then the game at the bottom, Churchtown, just outside the top 6, have the unenviable task of travelling to Devils. Hang on, 35 points will be the cut-offs, predicts Martin Tato, saying his away form's quality, home form is terrific. Well, we can have a look at that. So your initial thoughts then at home to Halls, another side now inside the top 6 and in very good form.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough game. Obviously, it's been spoke about the new manager bounce. They're unbeaten now since he's come in, and but we've been a bit better at home recently. Obviously, we know Viduka can't play, so it's whether they change it up a little bit. Crespo being extra Dudley probably might factor in a touch as well. But yeah, we're going. I'd sort of. It's weird. You're going into games now, just hoping to pick up 8 point or whatever. Now there's 6 point gap now between us and 7th. So at this present minute, we know we need to pick something up in 4 games rather than 6 to try and cement us place there. But yeah, as you said, Burn Bostock's massive in for that second spot. I don't think we'll be in for that second spot come 2 or 3 games time. That's just me personally. I think both teams are too strong. Both teams' form of the season have been too good, and it's going to be them two batting it out.
In an ideal world, though, Steve, they draw on Thursday. You beat Halls. You're right in the mix for it.
Oh, definitely. It put me
within a point.
Yeah, it put me within a point. I'd still be 4th.
Within 2 points. Sorry, I think you'd be within 2 points.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'd be within 2 points of Ian. And I'd still be 4th with goal difference, but it would put me in mix. Like I say, it's uncharted territory for us. We've not been out of top 6 all season, which this is why I'm still expecting a drop, because it's not been a drop off and then fight his way back in. Tonight was massive for us, as well last night, and again it's becoming more cup finals for us, game in, game out. But there's still just how exciting it is for everybody else below us going down, just chasing in. It's massive. It's brilliant.
And it's very exciting for not just the managers involved, but for myself watching it unfold each game week, and for the neutral fans as well. I know through comments I'm getting through different outlets that they're enjoying it as well. Steve, firstly, thank you again for the work you've taken on with regards to the stats. Thank you for coming on tonight and offering a quality night of co-coms. And congratulations on an excellent performance and a wonderful result tonight.
Oh, thanks, mate. It's just, yeah, I'm absolutely buzzing. Absolutely buzzing with it.
No, absolutely. Don't forget, as I said a short while ago, there is Swemp action straight after us. So go over to Mr. Megahorse's YouTube channel for more champ action. But from me and from Steve, until Thursday from Super League HQ, it is a very, very good night.
Now, lads.